Incense burning, all space is filled with the fragrance. All Buddhas smell it from afar. Auspicious clouds gather everywhere. With utmost sincerity, all Buddhas appear. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage, we offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas.
Oh, here I am in this seat. Yes. Remember calling it the hot seat. It still feels fairly darn hot, actually, even after all this time. Oh my goodness. Yeah, 7 years ago, I had the hot seat, and I'm like, oh my gosh, can I do this? Happened to be that we were in the Dharma hall, and I was called to talk with Deepa after a Dharma talk because we had an incident that we needed to take care of within the Sangha. And being a new member, I was like, oh, I'm in big trouble. It really did feel like I was in big trouble. But Deepa reminded me why I was coming for Dharma talks, why I decided to move into the Buddhist world. Don't you want to do better? I said, yeah, of course I want to do better. I thought I was doing pretty good, but I knew that I could do better. And he said, okay, as long as you're open to improving your situation and your condition, then we have work to do. And I went, wee, yay, hooray, I'm not in this by myself. Still felt hot after I left. So I'm hot. Which brings me to today's Dharma class. We're working on getting through slowly, very slowly, true stories about a holy monk. And I got stuck in the concept. Sorry, I'm being told that it's just not up far enough. Just a little more. Perfect. In doubt. And about 3 years ago in the spring, we had a Dharmacharya retreat, and we had Maureen here. And we were working on Vidya. We didn't even know it was called that until recently. And it was a creative process. And we put together with the Dharmacharyas a song called The Doubter's Blues. And it was really, really good. It really talked a lot about how our stinking thinking ends up causing us so many problems. Yeah, we got reverberation going on. Yeah. Yeah. So each of us in that Dharmacharya retreat contributed to what was our stinking thinking. Our stinking thinking was not trusting the Dharma basically, and that I would be at work and I would be angry and I would call the boss a name. The other was, I'm so upset after what happened at work or in a relationship, because there was a couple of those. I went to drinking to drown my blues. But not once did I think about the Dharma. Why wasn't the Dharma? Oh, now I'm gone. Now, why was the Dharma not? Okay. Okay. So, why was the Dharma not coming up for me when I thought it would? What was I not doing correctly? Well, I had put doubt in there that I didn't think it would work in all situations and at all times. So once I put doubt into my thinking, it started feeding many places. Instead of just going, I don't know. I don't know. Why can't I stay open to I don't know at this point in time? Then, of course, started looking around me at my Sangha. And my Sangha at that time only had 2 monks, Venerable Panyawadi and Venerable Panyadipa, in robes. So they were reminding me constantly that they were on the road of the monastic. So, and what I attached to that, of course, was that they were holy, right? So then I started adding more to my heap of unable to attain, right, this path. So I asked the question, is the holy life for me? As just a layperson, can I even do it? Because it seems like it's not working right now. Then I went into holy. What does holy mean? You know, really, what does holy mean? And of course, we can go to the internet and it will tell us very succinctly, at least according to the dictionary definition, that I can be dedicated to God or a religious purpose, one that is truly sacred. Now, God, of course, has been with me for a really long time in various aspects. I've known God's presence for a long time, known it, experienced it, benefited from it, suffered from it, but I still have faith. I still have faith. So I wasn't a churchgoer though, and I didn't think there was purpose in going to a church. But I knew that something about a spiritual path was calling to me. So I figured, okay, but a sacred one, because I've never had to think about sacredness in that respect. You know, we do a lot of things in this world that we consider are secular, but the sacred is holding that space and that mind in a way that says, in here is a special place that I have constructed and have made for my own, that holds many things that I can do that will keep me wholesome, in a way that I want to be wholesome, in a way that I want to be good. So once I could start thinking of myself more as a layperson and not a monk, but as seeking a religious purpose, one I could be dedicated and devoted to, in addition to the one I already had with God. Then I found out that there were precepts, not commandments, but precepts. Precepts are really better than commandments. Breaking those commandments was, oh my gosh, a path I'd been following for a long time. So then when I heard precepts or as guidelines, I went, oh, okay, so I can do those. And what are those? Well, recently I learned there's 3 purifying precepts that are really easy to follow. And I'm like going, I really like those. They are, I vow to cut off all evil within me. There will be no evil that I will not cut off. I vow to practice all types of goodness. There will be no type of goodness I will not practice. I vow to save all living beings. There will be no living being that I will not save. Yeah. I can follow those. In fact, those are so easily laid out. I said, I can even remember those in my mind that are like Dharma mantra to me that I can carry through my mind when I'm like out there and there's all this other stuff going on. Not this container, not a robe, and not the mala beads, none of those things that help you to remember. But I can remind myself about these, about. And then, additionally, what else can you do, right? So we are learning that there are the devotion to the 4 gems, which are being wholehearted, have loyalty wholeheartedly, loyalty that must never change. No person should be placed above the master and the 3 gems. And the 3 gems are? Yes. And the best part of this is there's an attainment part. So the whole attainment to devotion is for 100%. So it gives you leeway. If you're not at 100%, you know you are moving into that direction as you're holding on to these as well. So I'm very appreciative that is a straightforward way of actually practicing to be a really good Buddhist, because that's why I want to be a really good Buddhist. And the other thing is, I also need to maintain my 3 karmas in conduct, speech, and thought, so that they can correspond to these 4 gems. Yes. Well, like this dear monk with doubt, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Here you have this really great master, right? He's got a Dharma King master that he's learning from. And what does he do? I don't know if you remember this one, but he says, when my Dharma King master was performing an initiation and empowerment for me, he said, I will cause your countenance to become extremely solemn and dignified, like that of a great virtuous one. Now, who wants to have their countenance changed like that? At the time, I silently thought to myself, this ugly face of mine, it's like that of an ape. I am totally identifying with this. The master will be able to make it more solemn and dignified, only to a limited extent. So at that point in time, he is now doubting whether or not his master is as powerful as he says he is. How many doubts can we put into this world to prevent us from moving in the direction that we want to move into? Yeah, so many, so many. And I always wonder about that. What is it about doubt that needs to be present when you're moving into something that's supposed to be changing you, turning you into something better? What is it about doubt that does that? So I wondered, is it there something to have to do with one of the evils? It's an evil, yeah. That needs to be, what did we say? Cut off within. So we'll go to the book on page 36, which just seems to catch my attention and ask for repeating. I originally planned to stop speaking when I got to this point. Not me. However, there might be those who say, you have spoken so long and it still seems as if you think esoteric Buddhism is right. This is because you are a Dharma king within esoteric Buddhism. However, you think it is up to you. However, you think is up to you. Think whatever you want to think. However, that's a problem. The key point is that you must quickly get rid of these thoughts. Otherwise, you will not be able to cut off attachment to the concept of self. So it seems to me, doubt and self somehow get attached to one another. How you then be able to enter into concentration? In summary, I will say to you all that all Buddha Dharma is good. As long as the Dharma corresponds with the practitioner, it is good. I have learned all of the various sects, which is one of the beauties of going in and listening to imparting the absolute truth through the Heart Sutra. It's an extremely long discourse, and I'm never going to probably read the Heart Sutra in and of itself. But the inclusivity of the way that the Buddha Master imparted this takes in all of the sects and all of the lineages, so that no matter where you're coming from, you can also get the absolute truth through this sutra as he's imparted it. Now, even though there are those who contend that Mahayana Buddhists say that Hinayana Buddhism is not good, and that Hinayana Buddhists say that Mahayana Buddhism is not good, both such positions are mistaken. In the present time and throughout the generations, the enlightened sacred wishes of those who followed Mahayana Buddhism have, of course, been wonderful. Yet, adherence to the precepts and discipline by followers of Hinayana Buddhism is something that followers of Mahayana Buddhism cannot match. The few dozen methods of the Hinayana practice to Guan Bo Nyan is something that Mahayana Buddhism does not have. Each has its advantages. Any Dharma which enables one to end the cycle of birth and death is good Dharma. I didn't know that part of the Theravadan practice was in the Hinayana tradition. We got this really lovely historical chart made by Master Zizi, and really helped me to understand how moving from an exoteric school into an esoteric school may also cause doubt to arise. In that there seems to be some contention in learning one way and then having to give up, and or how I like to think about it is just attached to what's being taught from the esoteric schools, which is under the Vajrayana. I, a Dharma king, am clearly telling all of you that I do not have any biases towards one Dharma or another. Nice to get to that place. Although I'm a very humble monk, I have nevertheless successfully learned not to have such biases. Shakyamuni Buddha, the world-honored one, understood. He did not have biases. He did not. All dharmas were good. Of course, I cannot compare myself with Shakyamuni Buddha. I am so much worse than him. Shakyamuni Buddha stands on a high mountain. I stand on the level ground near the foot of the mountain. Ah, I am so ashamed, so ashamed. I have lived in vain for all these many years. Whether you say to others that I said esoteric Buddhism is good, or that I said exoteric Buddhism is not good, I nonetheless want to remind you of something. Awang no Bupamu is so magnificent. She empowered my beard. My Dharma King Master, who is the supreme leader of esoteric Buddhism, Yangwo Sin Bab Nipu, Sin Help, caused my Vajra hair in between my eyebrows to grow again. This Vajra hair is presently right here before your eyes. It has grown so long, more than 1 foot. With respect to my state of realization, there is no need to describe this to you. fear that if I did, you would be so startled. My Vajra hair and my beard have continued to vigorously grow. This is rare in history. I just said that I would someday use my Vajra hair in my waistband. Can it be said that I am thereby defaming the esoteric Dharma? No matter what anyone says in the future, there will be a time when I will not want it. It is exactly what I said. Even the Dharma should not be clung to. And again, this is where I wonder about that as well, is that I know one way of practicing, but can I trust to move into a different way of practicing? Will it be as beneficial? Will it be even better than what I've been practicing previously? I want to speak the truth. I am not belittling esoteric Buddhism. As to how you should select a particular Buddha Dharma to learn, this will depend upon your own circumstances and conditions. I hope that you will be able to open up a special type of Buddhism, special type of wisdom which emanates from the 8 forms of consciousness, and that you will give up the illusory states within the 8 forms of consciousness. I hope that you will transform consciousness into wisdom. Yeah. When you then read what I now am saying, you will be able to find correct understanding and will be able to recognize what the best Buddha Dharma is. Amitabha. Someone who heard the lecture asked the Dharma King, after hearing the lecture given by the Elder Dharma King, I understand the principles which you, the Elder Dharma King, were expounding. That is, that all of the Buddha Dharma is the same. Now then, I would like to ask the Elder Dharma King to explain. Are all dharmas which are taught in the various temples all the same, no matter who the monk or dharma teacher may be? I asked the Elder Dharma King. Explain this for all living beings. There is the merit to this statement, yet is definitely not the correct concept. That is to say, as long as the Dharma which is taught in the various temples is in accord with and based upon the Dharma taught in the sutras, then one can say that the Dharma taught in these various temples is the same. The difference lies in the Dharma teacher or layperson who is teaching this Dharma. Oh, goodness. Yes. It's a good question, though. It really does. Ask whether or not the person who's actually doing the teaching is in the right karma. Is their body in the right karma conduct? Is their speech in the right conduct, in the right karma? And is their thinking in the right karma? You know, it's all about that, right? And if it's not that, then shouldn't be teaching. Should not be teaching. Good to ask that. Very good to ask that. Does this person have correct understanding? Does he lead people into heterodox or erroneous views? Does he lead people into prejudices? Does he teach the study of Buddhism as if it were the Buddha Dharma itself? Yeah, I took on the study of Buddhism as my original, not one of my original, but one of the comfortable places that I could go to when I came here. I just want to study Buddhism. I don't know whether or not it's the right faith for me, right? And coming in with that sort of, I'm just going to study it, kept me at a very objective position. I didn't have to really completely jump into it and give it my all. Panawati always said I just stick my toe in the water. I'm a toe sticker. Yeah, and she's right. She was right. I would only go so far and touch that water and figure out whether or not it was the right temperature. Was it nice enough? Like, was it kind enough to my toes? Could I feel the water just kind of splashing on it and be, oh, that's good enough for me. I don't need any more than that. Was I too afraid to get pulled in even farther? You betcha I was. Absolutely. Absolutely. 'Cause I was just like, no, I like the Dharma talks. I like what I'm hearing. There's something else going on within me that's just like, oh, I'm not happy. Not happy. That inner work is sometimes the most unpleasant part of therapy. Even when you go into therapy and you think you want to get better, sometimes you won't do the work, do that. Because it means giving up things, changing a habit, changing a way of thinking, opening your mind to something else. And you think you want it because you're in pain in something, some way you're in pain, emotional pain, psychological pain, something is showing up as pain. And you want to have that go away. But you only want it to go away if you can do it easily and not have to give up very much. The path is asking you to give up as well. You got to surrender something. And it is painful at times to give it up. So one of my things when I first came here, well, we were working on anger. We were working through Bhikkhu Bodhi's book on anger, how to develop a social community. And it was coming up left and right and forward and backwards. It was everywhere. It just didn't feel like we could get out of that, this whole anger thing that was going on. And each of us brought our own to it. And each of us brought our own sense of disappointment. Each of us brought our own sense of control. And I got to do it my way. When we were all fighting. We were all fighting. For what? For what? We all really wanted. We wanted a harmonic Sangha. We really wanted that. That was our aspiration. But there was all of this background feeling that we brought with us when we came. Stuff that we had been conditioned to, how we had learned how to make our way in the world, how we had learned to express ourselves in that world, needed to be taken off, discarded, changed into something else. Yeah, a true catharsis means that you can go in and truly turn it around inside of yourself and not express it, but it takes care of itself inside. So that's what I had to learn. But I knew it really well as a therapist because you go through your own therapy as a therapist, and that's painful. Again, to work in the world of helping, brings up stuff from family of origin stuff that you just didn't realize was getting in the way of good therapy. And here, this is not a treatment center. This is not that at all. But it is to practice how to be Buddhist and do it in the way that says, you can do it. You can do it. We may be all in the same infusion of anger, but we know kindness and we know how to cultivate loving kindness, which we were doing a lot of. Busita, would you like to read, please?
I think we ended with, does he take popular Buddhism to be the nature of truth itself?
Yes.
Does he take popular Buddhism to be the nature of truth itself? If so, this would be terrible. The difference between teachers could lead to extremely different results. Therefore, this difference results in some cultivators being able to attain liberation in a very short time, whereas other cultivators cultivate themselves their entire lives, yet at the moment of death, they have not accomplished anything. These different results are directly related to the person's practice of the Dharma and the teacher who instructs him. For example, those who practice by themselves at home can only be said to be cultivating their roots of goodness. They could not possibly master correct understanding. Nobody's guiding them. Without the guidance of a true great virtuous one, what accomplishment could they attain? They will not become accomplished and will not be able to liberate themselves from the cycle of birth and death. Hence, in one's cultivation, one must follow a great virtuous one who has true realization. This Dharma teacher, of course, must be a true Dharma teacher. For example, if you come to the Grand Canyon area or Bodhi Monastery and learn from me how to cultivate, then I will guarantee that you will become accomplished. If you go to other places, I do not know whether the Dharma teacher there has correct understanding or whether the lay teacher there has the power to save other living beings. I do not wish to criticize others. As long as they do things for the benefit of living beings, when they are earning some merit, then they are earning some merit. I, as a practitioner, do not want to speak of the good and bad points of others. Thus, I cannot guarantee what they will teach will lead to any accomplishment. Some people like to learn the esoteric Dharma. However, it is now the Dharma ending age where esoteric Dharma masters are everywhere. If these masters do not claim to be a Buddha, then they claim to be a great Bodhisattva. Actually, most of them are charlatans and evil spirits. If you truly like to learn the esoteric Dharma, I would like to recommend a book which has already been translated into Chinese. The name of the book is Great Dharma, which will definitely lead to liberation. It is also called the Dharma of Liberation. Those who have mastered, by the way, I looked it up, it's not in English.
Oh, thank you. I was
Those
wondering.
Those who have mastered, at least that I could find, those who have mastered this Dharma are true Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who have come to this world again. Those who have not mastered this Dharma do not have the state of realization of a great Bodhisattva. Starting from Master Padmasambhava, each generation of great masters had to perform this Dharma ceremony when they selected their disciples, and the disciples had to participate in this Dharma ceremony when they selected their master. The master who practices this Dharma must have supernormal Dharma powers since beginningless time in order to observe intricate and complicated causal conditions, which have accumulated over many lifetimes and eons. Without such powers, when the 50 to 1,000 or so disciples who are together at the mandala each tear their own paper in half, keeping one half and mixing the other half together, how could the master see everything clearly, state the names of each person to whom the half piece of paper, which has been mixed together, belongs, and return the half piece of paper to the owner of the paper so that he can put the two pieces of paper together again, all without making the slightest mistake? These are causal conditions which can be observed by Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Therefore, if those who learn the esoteric Dharma do not read this book, then they will be apt to mistakenly believe that every Rinpoche is a Buddha or Bodhisattva who has come to this world again. They will easily deviate from the correct path. Of course, abilities just described emanate from the state of realization attained by a master on the level of a Buddha or Mahasattva. It cannot be said that there is no difference between different Buddha dharmas. Although I said that the Pure Land School, the Chan School, and esoteric Buddhism are all good, did I not tell you all that you should yourself experience the differences between them? For example, there is the highest holy Dharma. With respect to the Pure Land School, only at the end of one's entire life is the crown of one's head opened and one is reborn in the Western paradise. There is a Dharma where the crown is opened after a few dozen years or even 100 years. There is a Dharma where the crown is opened after a few days. There is a Dharma where the crown is opened after a few hours. There is also a Dharma where the crown is opened after a few minutes. The differences between these Dharmas is rather large. This is the mystery and profundity of the various Dharma methods. This even has to do with the inner esoteric initiation. There is the case where within a few minutes, one will be able to be reborn in the Western paradise. There is also the case where after a few dozen years, one will be able to be reborn in the Western paradise. This is the difference between various Buddha dharmas. This is the mystery of the Buddha Dharma.
Mm.
Continue. Continue.
Sure.
I will clearly tell you all that the supreme and holy Dharma is not something which ordinary people can grasp. It is also not something which people who are members of societal organizations, which are in a state of utter confusion, such as Falun Gong, and who do not even have a basic understanding of the Buddha Dharma can know. I, as a Dharma king, have this supreme and holy Dharma. This Dharma is the mother of all Dharmas. This Dharma definitely can cause one to end the cycle of birth and death as easily as turning over one's hand. What, after all, is this Dharma? As I said before, the Dharma taught by the Buddhas. I have now mastered this Dharma. It is truly the supreme Buddha Dharma. I am not saying that it belongs to any particular sect in order to avoid disputes between various sects. I will, of course, teach this Dharma to those people whose conditions and circumstances cause them to meet up with me. Amitabha. After the Dharma king spoke, he put his palms together in respect. Instantly, he rose in the air about 3 feet. He calmly and motionlessly hung in the air. At this time, all of us were startled. At the same time, we received empowerment. Each of us entered into a state of calm, imperturbability, lightness, and peace. The Buddha Dharma is the Buddha Dharma. It is not the same as Buddhist studies. It is not the same as popular Buddhism. Only the unification of the 3 gates is the essential truth. After about 2 hours, we all came out of our state of concentration. Miao Shenxi then asked the elder Dharma king, Elder monk, we have read in the newspaper that you are a master at raising the spirits of the dead to higher realms, that you are a savior of dead spirits. We learned that you will be raising the spirits of the dead and providing empowerment for 2 ossuaries in Taiwan. Would the elder monk be willing to describe the underlying causal conditions for this? The elder monk provided the following answer. You are a member of this temple, yet you still ask such a question. Is this not a case of asking a question while clearly knowing the answer? Miao Shenxi said, Elder monk, I am asking on behalf of all living beings. Many people ask me about this. I cannot carelessly answer them. The elder monk then spoke as follows. Listen carefully and I will tell you the situation accurately. You should not use the phrase underlying causal conditions, all right? People of the world would like to know why. They want to know why I want to raise the spirits of the dead for these 2 ossuaries and what offerings I received for this. Today, I will openly tell the people of the world that pervasively saving living beings in the 6 realms of existence is my natural instinct. The Buddhas do such things. This is part of my practice of the Buddha Dharma, which my Buddha master wants me to undertake. Do you mean to say that I should not imitate the Buddhas, but rather should imitate demons? It is true that they published an article in the newspaper. I know of this article and it is accurate. However, I practice only for those 2 ossuaries. I am a humble monk and do not have such great abilities. I dare not attempt to raise the spirits of all the dead. If I promise to raise too many spirits, then I will not be able to complete the task of raising spirits to higher realms. If I promise to raise their spirits, yet I'm not able to complete the task, then I must shoulder such karma and responsibility. If I say that I will raise their spirits and in the end I'm unable to do so, then this would create a karmic offense. I already said that I will raise the spirits of all of those dead people who have memorial tablets at the 2 ossuaries in Taiwan, where the spirits of the dead will be raised to the Western paradise. The Great Fortune Golden Throne Ossuary and the Taipei Holy City Ossuary. I will also empower all those who are alive and have placed memorial tablets in these 2 ossuaries. I will dedicate the merit to the spirits of the dead which I raise, and to those people who are alive who I empower. I do not violate the precept against lying. One who is enlightened and enlightens others does not lie.
Can you hold it for just a second? There's a lot in that. So one of the precepts was also an instinct. The one about that I vow to save all living beings. Yeah. But it sounded like he also knew his limit. And that was something that I hadn't caught in the earlier reading, that he knew he had his limit. And that if he took his generosity and his kindness to raise all living beings in that supernatural power. Let's call that a very awesome supernatural power. There would be harm without the limit. Like the thresholds and the boundaries that Soma was talking about on Sunday. This would be one of them. Yeah. You got to know your limits. You might want to save all, but all at this point in time is not doable. And if you promise, and that's the other thing, if you get seduced into wanting more than the two ossuaries, there are lots of living beings, dead living beings to be raised. And you aren't able to do it, then you're causing harm. And then if you can't, because you're so spread thin, even take care of the two ossuaries, the two that you've done, you can cause another karmic offense. You're digging your hole even deeper. And you're not getting out of samsara either. I mean, that sort of defeats the purpose of leaving this world. Yeah. Oma, you want to read? I like the thing about do not lie. That's another one of those. Make sure your karmas are in alignment, conduct, thought, and speech. Thank you.
Do not worry. I will not undertake this task by way of a Mount Mang Dharma assembly, Flaming Mouth Dharma assembly, or Water Land Dharma assembly. I will use an esoteric Dharma method which never fails in order to liberate the spirits of the dead and empower those who are alive. I originally did not intend to tell you about this. However, if I do not tell you then you will give rise to the hindrance of doubt, thus producing negative karma. So I will just tell you, in order to bring happiness to living beings and fulfill my wishes, I will use the highest esoteric Dharma of the unsurpassed group, nectar bestowed by the Buddhas so as to liberate the spirits of the dead. I will use the long life increased happiness nectar Dharma in order to empower those who are alive. It seems nowadays that every Dharma teacher and Rinpoche are able to successfully practice the nectar Dharma. Actually, with respect to this matter, everybody is mistaken. What is called nectar by the average worldly person is water or Chinese medicine herbs, which have been empowered by mantras. These are used as substitutes for real nectar. When one looks at the history of the Tibetan Buddhism, Master Padmasambhava Baba and the other masters did not use water as a substitute. What, after all, did they use as a substitute? I will clearly tell all of you. They did not use any substitute. Nectar is nectar. Nectar is a sacred thing which is directly bestowed by the Buddhas from the sky. It is something which emanates from nothing. Only this is true nectar. This nectar possesses the unlimited empowerment of the Buddhas. The merit true nectar contains is 1 billion times greater than the merit contained by water, which substitutes for it. Therefore, I, Dorje Losang, dared to agree to undertake the task for them. I will openly practice this Dharma. When the time comes, I will invite some great Buddhist practitioners and those with great merit to view the ceremony live and receive empowerment. What is more important is to have them personally view the sacred site of nectar being bestowed so that they know what true nectar is. With such people as witnesses, this will help prevent those people who disrespect the Buddha Dharma from committing the offense of alleging that such ceremony was false. All of you must bear in mind that I, Dorji Losang, have never violated the precept against lying. With respect to what benefits I will receive, I will certainly receive benefits. This is because raising the spirits of the dead and empowering those who are alive are benefits from cultivation. They are benefits which naturally arise. These benefits should not be clung to. When they pass away, they are gone. With respect to the benefit of receiving offerings, it is true that these two ossuaries presented me with around 50,000 US dollars. Even before they came to the monastery's gate, I notified my attendant not to accept 1 cent. My disciples and I do not want their money. I will never accept money or offerings from those two ossuaries, where the spirits of the dead will be raised to the Western paradise. Undertaking this task is part of my cultivation. It is not done to receive money. This will never change. This is what I, Dorji Losang, want to tell of you. Continue. Continue.
Does anybody have any questions or thoughts at this point in time? Hi, Regina. How about you? Do you have anything you want to add? And is it Reverend? Who? Is it Fordham? Hi, Fordham. Yes.
You know, fundamentally, what is the fundamental difference between exoteric and esoteric Buddhism? Sounds like we are practicing esoteric, and don't really understand a lot about that. So if anyone could just share, what is the fundamental difference? How are you moving out of one pathway and into the other? What does that look like? And if that's too much for this. I could write it out.
No, I understand.
I'm not sure.
For example, is esoteric about looking at deity and kind of visualization? Like, what is the distinct flavor of this path that's beckoning us to?
It is the Heart Sutra that differentiates one between the two.
Just share your thoughts, or you have to be right.
And then I'll speak to what.
Well, this is just my understanding. It doesn't mean it's gospel. But the word exoteric means the outer teaching, the teaching that can be given to the masses. And if you think in terms of Christianity, for instance, and the esoteric is the secret, that which is higher or deeper, however you want to put it, and was not considered in Christianity that the lay people could understand it because it was deeper. And using that terminology, the Hinayana and the Theravada would be the exoteric, which is available to everybody. And even the Mahayana, it's also exoteric. But the Vajrayana, which is generally in Tibet originally, that's the secret. And you have to have risen, I hate up or down, developed to a point where is ready and able to handle the power and the knowledge that comes with deeper understanding. So the initiations, the powers, the chants, the mudras would go to someone who had developed their training and understanding enough that they were able to move to that level and understand it. It's also not something that's imparted to the general public. And it's not a matter of ego. It's not a matter of I'm better than you. It's a matter of you don't teach college courses to a fifth grader. So it's a matter of development to the level. That's the way I understand it.
That's my understanding, that it's that the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, did teach these levels. And again, it's kind of, I don't know that you necessarily want to call them levels, but the different teachings to the different people who were ready and open to receive those. And that's why having a teacher that really knows you and knows what you have studied and what you're basically walking out are ready for the step into a deeper study. And certainly the month-long study that we did of the Heart Sutra, or the imparting the absolute truth of the Heart Sutra, was something that we started a year before that. And we didn't have the time. We had 10 days. But I could tell just then we were just reading and we weren't ready. And then over a year of studying some of the other discourses and conversations, I had the knowledge, the understanding. I went slow. I had a different understanding of this. So exoteric is outside. Esoteric is the deeper dive in. And I'm sure Venerable could have a different conversation or more of a conversation about that. So it's not, I mean, I think secret is maybe used in some places. It's just the readiness of the student and the teacher understanding that that student is ready. And once I just saw a cartoon, or it wasn't a cartoon really, it says when the student is ready, the teacher appears. The other half of that was when the student is ready, the teacher disappears. So it's an interesting kind of understanding about the role of the teacher. And the teacher is there to help you, support you, guide you. And with the Mahamudra, there were times when Venerable said, let's step back. We're not quite ready to go into where we were. So that's my 2 cents worth.
I think we'll stop there. Thank you very much. Appreciate all of your kind ears, kind hearts, really lovely attention. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Have a blessing. May all blessing be yours. May all devas protect you. By the power of all the Buddhas, may happiness ever be yours. May all blessing be yours. May all devas protect you. By the power of all the Dhammas, may happiness ever be yours. May all blessings be yours. May all devas protect you. By the power of the Sangha, may happiness ever be yours. Thank you.